Welcome to Cross Examine with the Gerbers. I'm Ken Gerber.
And I'm Megan Gerber. And this is Jack Ratay, my son and your stepson.
Yeah.
Yay.
At Cross Examine with the Gerbers, we like to bring together our faith, our law practice, our family and ministry. And obviously today we are emphasizing our family. Welcome, Jack.
Thank you guys for having me. It's an honor to be on here. I think this is the first time I'm definitely doing a podcast, but interview on a camera. I think it's the first time.
So one of the main reasons that we have you here, and there's a lot of things that we're going to get into, but the timing of this is particularly important because you are the front man of an international touring band, Three Heart Cross, and you have a lot of original music that you do, but you have recorded and finalized your very first release, and that is coming out soon.
Yeah, that would be August 31st. 8:31, and it was actually, that's a really cool story. You guys cool with me getting into that?
Please.
Yeah, so 8:31, it was just a date I chose because we were talking about putting stuff out at the end of the summer, and when I was on tour in Poland, I was telling everyone, oh, we're going to have music coming out this summer. And so I wanted to keep my word and put something out this summer. So I'm like, okay, 31st of August. Why not?
End of summer.
End of summer. Let's do the 31st of August. And I said that at Rock and Worship Boot Camp. Shout out to you guys. Love you guys. I was at Rock and Worship Boot Camp and I was saying, that's when Found a Home's going to come out. The 31st of August. And Gordon Wickert, who, works for Tones and Bones and also runs Hope and Numbers. He and I think it was lunch. We were having lunch and he asked me, was there a reason you chose 8:31? I'm like, it's the end of the summer and nothing really beyond that. And he goes, I do have my Bible here. He goes, well, do you know what 8:31 is? And I'm like,
well, let me just point out for a second.
Yes.
Gordon has this immense knack for memorizing Bible verses, and that's his Hope and Numbers ministry. And he has memorized literally thousands and thousands of Bible verses. So somebody will tell him he sees numbers everywhere in life. And so in people's birthdays, on speed limit signs, etc. So when you said the date 8:31, he instantly went to the Bible verse.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
8:31 is, what then are we to say about these things? If God is for us, who is against us?
Now, why is that so important in relation to Found a Home?
It's literally in the chorus of the song, and I had no clue. For who can stand against me when my God is for me?
That's what you sing in that song.
It's literally what I sing in that song, and I wasn't thinking about 8:31 in that way. So Gordon's definitely a blessing. I totally recommend you guys check out Hope and Numbers and that you go follow Gordon Wickert because he's an awesome dude.
Yeah, totally agree. So yeah, that's one of those things, divine intervention that was certainly God orchestrated. Wouldn't you agree?
No, 100%. And I've seen God work with that song in a lot of interesting ways. I've seen people sing it not knowing the song. I've seen people, come up to me and they're like, they think it's a cover song. There was a kid one time I played the song and he came up to me and he's like, that brought me back to youth group. We used to, have that song played all the time. And I'm like, no,
It's
no,
literally an original song.
Yeah.
And the great thing about it, Jack, is we believe it's Holy Spirit inspired.
Mm-hmm.
And this song is a culmination, I believe, of your entire life. You finding a home in Yeshua.
Mm-hmm.
And it's starting out with you finding your voice in music and being bullied for having autism.
Mm-hmm.
And as a mom, I'm incredibly grateful. It's so hard. I'm so incredibly grateful to God because I was told you would never speak. You would never be in regular classes. And here you are putting out music. I knew I was going to cry. For other moms out there, you know, I know it's a controversial subject, but it happened to us, and we can't just deny the facts. Jack at 6 months was testing out as a 9-month-old, and we went for his 6-month vaccines, and within a week he was testing out as a 2-month-old. And I didn't know what happened. And the doctor said something must have happened while he got his 6 months shots. And I freaked. I panicked. I said, well, what does that even mean? And for other parents out there that have been told your child has autism, you have so many questions. And, you know, Jack, I'd love to hear from you, your journey from not speaking to speaking. I think you told me a story once. You remember not speaking.
I do.
And so you didn't even know you couldn't speak.
You know, before I get into that, I do want to say one thing. They said that I wouldn't be in normal classes, right?
Right.
They were right. I took honors classes. Can you state that question again one more time?
So what was it like? You told me a story that, you know, for parents that have nonverbal autistic kids, you wonder if they even know that they're not talking. What was it like for you? You said you remember being, because we got you in, you were diagnosed at 3, and we got you into intervention school, like a special education at the age of 3. You told me, Mom, I was fine. I didn't even know I wasn't talking.
I didn't know. I had conversations with all the people that I knew in my preschool. I didn't know that there was anything different for me versus anyone else.
So you were actually talking to them out loud and having full-on conversations. You were just imagining conversations that you were having?
No, I literally remember certain conversations to this day. I remember there was...
But this was in your head, right?
Yeah. That's what I've said in the past, and so I'm going to go off of that. I don't remember it all too well, but I do remember there was a picture day, and it was the preschool, right? Yeah, it was picture day, and I remember I was in the line for pictures out in the hallway, and I was talking with a new student named Gloria. And I remember having that conversation. I mean, some kind of conversation, but I remember her name. I remember, it not being any different than me talking with you right now.
But it wasn't out loud.
Yeah.
It was not verbal.
You told me, which was so fun, you said, Mom, I preferred my voice in my head than my actual voice. When it started coming out, you didn't like it as much.
Mm-hmm. And I stand by that. I again, I don't remember it now, but I'll stand by the statements I've said before. Yeah.
And so you worked your butt off.
I did.
You worked your butt off during school, and nothing was going to stop you.
Yeah. I refuse to be a victim. I refuse to let anyone tell me what I can and can't do. I will do what I want, and I'll find a way to do it.
And so if that's taking a test 2-3 times,
I'll do it.
Yeah. So through this journey, you found that kids weren't too nice to you.
Mm-hmm.
And do you want to go into detail with that? So maybe kids that aren't autistic understand the depth of maybe saying a simple rude word or two to someone, especially, and I know they don't like to call it this high functioning, there's all these terms that are changing. Kids think, oh, hey, he doesn't have autism. But tell people what it's like having autism in that sense of what they call high functioning, which I know, don't get on me, they don't call it that. I know a lot of people don't call it that anymore, but
I think that's tricky to talk about. I would say that I was definitely bullied. I'm having a hard time remembering all the details about what exactly, but I'd say that being someone who is high functioning is sometimes difficult because people just think you're weird. And I think, with special interests, all of us autistic people have special interests. It's just how we are. And I think our special interests can isolate us, which is not fun. It can put you in a situation where you don't know how to read social cues to start off with.
Right.
And, I didn't understand sarcasm until I was in the 8th grade.
Yeah, I remember that was a difficult thing for you. You'd come home and tell stories about what kids would say to you. And we'd have to explain to you, or a teacher. You had teachers that were horribly sarcastic when they really shouldn't have been. It was difficult for you to understand that.
Eventually I came to understand it, but
Sure.
you know, it was one of those things where, I couldn't relate with anyone. Because I had a special interest in paleontology. And then I didn't understand all the social cues, which made things difficult. And so I ended up just being by myself a lot of the time. And when I did find my groups of people, they were often very strange, outcast like people. And it definitely caused some issues because, you know, often, not always, but often these outcasts and hurt people hurt other people.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. Hurt people.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to hear from me with that?
Sure, Jack. What brought you to loving the Lord as much as you do right now? Would you say it was through that bullying, or did you always feel like God was with you?
I actually, I wrote about that in my apologetics class the other day. There was a DQ.
So would you like to say just real quick, where are you going to college and what are you going for?
I'm going to Liberty University and I am getting my BS in religion with an emphasis on apologetics right now.
Okay, so you can go back.
I was literally just writing about that. I ended up really becoming strong with my faith because of apologetics.
What does that mean for people if they don't know what that word means?
Defending the faith. That's how I got into it. It's these logical arguments. And a lot of people get scared of the fancy, $10 philosophical words. I love them because
you gravitate to them.
I gravitate towards them because they explain super complicated subject matters in such a simple way. One word.
There are so many times where Mom and I will have to stop you and say, Jack, we don't understand what that word is. We don't understand what you just said.
But you're so kind when you're explaining yourself to people.
Yeah, I try to be. I think, Christ prayed for unity in his body. And so I really do believe in that. I want to see the church unified and not arguing within itself. And I also, one of the core passages, and I don't know how many people have core passages in scripture, but I definitely have core passages. And
what do you mean by a core passage?
This is a passage you can recall off the top of your head and you use it in your daily life.
That he lives by.
Gotcha.
1 Corinthians 5 is one of those passages for me. We are not to judge those outside the church. We are to judge those in the church. I still want unity in the church, but if you're outside of the church, I have no business judging you. I have zero business judging you.
See, and that's something that's huge with non-believers who are outside the church and feel like Christians are constantly judging them. They have a lot of resentment towards that. And that verse, your core verse, really would solve a lot of issues for a lot of people.
It would solve so many issues. I cannot tell you right now how much the Christian community, and again, I'm going to say this too. I am pronomian, which makes me a little different. I believe that the mitzvot of the Torah are still applicable today as much as they can be. Obviously, there isn't a temple, so a lot of the laws aren't applicable. But the ones that are, I try to keep. I do not affirm gay relationships, but I love gay people. I have had plenty of gay people in my life. We've had plenty of assistants that are gay. I still know people to this day that I literally see every single week who are gay, and I love them. But, with that, I'm going to say this. How dare you judge the LGBTQ community? How dare you? This is just going to push people farther and farther away from Christianity. And you're doing a horrible job with that if you're spreading hate that way. It's like hating on fat people. Like, you're not supposed to be, gorging on food. But I don't see all these Christians coming up and being like, oh, I hate fat people. Like, come on. That's not what we're supposed to do. If someone is within the Christian faith and they are engaging
because you're saying that you're being gluttonous.
Yes. Yeah. So if gluttony is bad, literally the hate towards the LGBT community that so many Christians have, it's like them hating on fat people. It's just like it's so bizarre. If someone is within the Christian community and they are promoting gay relations, there is judgment I will have there. Respectful judgment, but judgment certainly, because that's what I'm called to do. But all this all this stuff about political identity and just hatred towards the world. It's ridiculous. It enrages me because it really does push people farther away than bring them in closer.
And so going back to you finding, Christ through apologetics, is that how you ended up writing your song? Because I know a part of you writing your song was that you felt lost and you didn't feel like you wanted to be here. You felt like an outcast. You felt judged. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, the song it's a testimony. It's I often get into this cycle when I'm writing music, and I have to consciously think about not doing it all the time because I don't want every song to be the same thing. But one of the books that has been so close to me in my walk is the book of Ecclesiastes. This life and everything that we chase here, it's fleeting. It's a fog. It's about, when you're down and you're hurt, you look for things to fill yourself up. You look for joy. You look for happiness. You look for all those things. And you go, well, this thing does it. This thing does it. It's pornography. It's gluttony. It's whatever you can think of. Whatever habit, you're looking for something to fill you up. You get there and you're lost again.
Well, and it's not just those negative things as well, but, being goal oriented and achieving goals is important in life. But there are people that become obsessed with it, obsessed with
100%.
getting ahead. And that's the same kind of thing. You feel like you're going to get to a certain position.
Yep.
You're going to get to a certain station in life, a certain income, and that things will be resolved. And it's never the case.
You'll never be happy. Solomon, one of the wealthiest guys of all time, he wrote Ecclesiastes, and he had 700 wives, 300 concubines. And he had the world. I mean, the world was his oyster. And he wrote the book of Ecclesiastes, which is the book about how nothing will ever make you happy. Nothing. It's always fleeting. And someday you're going to die, become dust, and no one's going to remember you. Your life is meaningless. No, seriously. I mean, let's think about our family really quick. Do you know who lived in the 3rd century from our family?
No.
Exactly. We don't know them. Maybe they were great. Maybe they weren't. They're bones now, or not even bones. Maybe they're literal dust.
Well, we've actually had this conversation when we've gone to graveyards to see, family members who have passed or gone to funerals, and you start to wander around and look at the gravestones, and it becomes very obvious that within a generation, all you are is a name on a headstone and a date of birth and a date of death.
And that's why you hope you can make an impact to generations to come about Jesus, because your name will fade, his will not.
Right.
Getting back on topic, though, with Found a Home.
I love that.
Getting back on topic with
Get us
Found a
back
Home.
on topic, Jack.
It's a song about how I filled myself up with things that were not very good, and how I found in myself that those things were leaving me empty. Eventually, I kind of just said, God, take the wheel. I can't impress people. I had this mindset that you had to be good at something in order to be loved. And I know that other people feel that way too. And I felt like I was good at nothing. No one gave me attention. I only felt like I was loved when I was doing something that was good or impressive to someone. And I didn't feel like I was really impressive or good at much of anything. And I'm like, you know what? People tell me about how loving God is. Let me come to him. Let me give my life to him. I just need his love. I was sick of trying to make people proud. I from what I had been told, I knew that I could come to him and he'd love on me. And so I embraced that.
And that's found a home.
Yeah.
You found a home in Yeshua.
I did. And some people, they've not directly, but kind of indirectly questioned why is it I found a home? Why is it not I have found a home? I found a home is the way I say it. It's said that way because of my background in apologetics. If someone asks you, how did you go from this to where you are now? You can say, I found a home. You can say that. It's not, and yes, you have found a home, but it's an apologetic song.
Okay. All right. I can see that distinction. That makes sense. There's a couple of points in the song, and it's one of those songs in my mind, as Megan was saying, Mom was saying, we really believe that it was an inspired song. And I've told you several times that, Jack, as much as that song is yours, it's not yours any longer. The minute it's released, this is for the world. So it's not yours. But it grabs you from the beginning because of the melody is so good. But there's a couple of points where I feel like when we've had people listen to the recording of it, the pre-release recording, there's a couple of points where I say to myself, that's exactly the moment that the person gets the song and is into the song. And one of them is when you talk about being on Instagram and you say that.
I love that part.
That line kind of cringes me.
Yeah, no, I know.
It's amazing.
But I think it speaks to people because it talks about being alone, being on Instagram, and coveting what other people are posting. And that's so common these days with social media. Everybody is always reviewing their life in comparison to other people. And I think when listeners hear that line about Instagram, whether they were fully paying attention to the song or not, I feel like at that moment, they really start paying attention to it. And then the next time is in the final mix, when you yell out, if you can hear me, you're not alone. And you do that twice. And it's the second one where it's played through the filter of a megaphone. And I just imagine you yelling out to anybody and everybody who can hear, if you can hear me, you're not alone. And I see people's faces when you hit that line in the song, and everybody without fail nods their head. How does that make you feel?
It feels awesome. You know, I got to see it at Rock and Worship. You know, I've gotten to see it at multiple places, but there is one person in the crowd, and I can remember his face right now. And it's right at that point where I just saw his face was very kind of, it was down. And right when I said that, his face lit up and he started raising his hands and started praising. I think that is a really special moment in the song. And almost every single person who's listened to the final mix is always, you know, they've all said, oh, that part's really cool.
Yeah.
But I do think you have a point with the Instagram thing. It's what I wrote. And then I don't know, it was a little while after where I was like, I don't know if that sounds right to me. It sounds kind of cheesy, kind of weird. But then, you know, I have come to realize that it does really serve a good purpose. It's one of those lines that people definitely pick up on and they're like, oh, wait a second, this song's a little different. It's not every day that you hear songs about Instagram. So it's definitely it's a word that catches everyone's attention.
Yeah. And now I know that you're very big on categorizing in your mind genres of music. How would you categorize Found a Home?
I've thought about that one a lot.
Because it starts off with this really kind of mystical, what's the instrument that you use?
I'm using a kinnor in the beginning, which is the same harp that David played, King David. And then I'm also blowing a shofar in the beginning as well, which is a ram's horn.
And then don't you have something called an oud?
The oud's not in the song. It's in another song, though.
Oh, your other song you're recording right now.
But it's funny, too, to see people watch people as they're listening to it for the first time, that recording.
Yeah.
And they hear the kinnor and they hear the shofar and it kind of fades out a little bit. And their first thing is, what kind of music am I listening to? It sounds, Middle Eastern, kind of out of touch with, current popular music.
Yeah.
And then it hits into the guitar. And so how would you characterize it?
I would call Found a Home an alternative rock song because that genre sweeps across a lot of different sounds. I mean, like, you got everyone when we're talking alternative rock, we can chuck, like, Imagine Dragons fits in that category, weirdly enough. It's kind of strange to me, but then you got Imagine Dragons, and then you got bands like My Chemical Romance, you know, where you can just shove them in this alternative rock genre and it's like, okay, the sound's wide. It's an easy label to put on the song.
So you're talking about really popular music that fits in that category and found a home. I think you're right, kind of slides right in there as well.
But I mean, if I had to break down the song though, I'd say that it has Middle Eastern elements in it. I think it has hard rock elements in it, and it has some metal elements in there as well. Like the lead guitar stuff, it's definitely something that screams out, oh, this kind of sounds like a power metal song, just a little bit.
And then you have to do your screaming in there as well.
I didn't do any screaming.
There's some little bit of a growl in there that I think you did.
You know, I did use rasp on the last chorus, and you know what? I'll give it to you. At the very end, I turned that rasp into a little bit of a false chord scream. Just a little bit.
Because at your heart, you're truly into metal music.
Oh, yeah. I love metal music.
And hold on, I'd like to say we knew Jack liked singing from a very young age when he could start speaking, which was around 5 or so. He would be in the shower. And one of his very first songs that he sang
I don't even
was
know this.
A big, big whale. Something about a big, big whale ate a small fish and a big fish. What? How does that go?
Yeah, I don't remember. But you're right. From the very beginning, once he could sing, to this day, it's still Jack in the shower or walking around the house or, you know, going in the car. Everywhere he goes, he's singing.
And you know he's in a good mood because if something's hurting his heart, it hurts my heart triple because I'm his mom. And I'm like, oh, I wish I could hurt for him, but I can't, as moms know. And the second I hear him singing, I'm like, oh, thank God he's singing. He must be happy now because he just starts singing all around. When he's not singing, it makes me sad. I love hearing it. I love hearing it all the time. I would like to say, though, before we move back onto the singing, there's 2 things. Jack is single.
I am, yes.
And another thing that people don't know about Jack, that Jack loves music. He's also a strongman lifter. He lifts over 500 pounds. I'm looking at his thigh right now. It's of steel. He has thighs of steel. And he's so humble. So he doesn't ever show anybody himself with his shirt off. So yesterday he had his shirt off for something. His sister was like doing something. And I was like, oh, Jack, you're so muscular. And so, Jack, what are you looking for in a girlfriend? Because I know you don't have a lot of time.
Wait a minute. Welcome to Cross-Examine, the dating game.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm scared.
I know, Jack, you have a lot on your shoulders. So you are going to school. You're an assistant director at our nonprofit Tones and Bones. You're also, you know, you have the international band and you're doing all this music and so many things. But if you could describe maybe for the future, if God chose you, because I know you're very much about God choosing you to be married, what is the kind of girl you're looking for?
I'd say that I'm looking for someone who loves God more than anything or anyone, first of all. And then I would also say I'm looking for someone who is beautiful. Someone I can have a relationship like Christ has a relationship with the church.
Are you a communicator, Jack? You know, I am a big influence on your life and I'm a huge communicator.
I am a massive communicator as well.
I love it. I always tell Jack, I'm like, Jack, girls may not appreciate how much you communicate right now because they're all about 2-second texts. But when a girl realizes how communication is so important, you are the diamond that they're looking for.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm definitely someone who likes to call and, you know, chat in person. I mean, texts are cool, but like, if you want to text me, it's gonna take a little bit. I like thinking about my messages. I'm very intentional with my messages.
You know what I found was beautiful, and it obviously didn't work out, but there was this girl that had said something about there was a song that described her. And you know what Jack did, everybody? He literally listened to the song like 3 or 4 or 5 times to really try to feel what it would be like to be that girl. And then he wrote it all down and told her what he felt that song meant and how he found, it to be so beautiful that she would share that part of her life with him. And I found that to be so endearing. But I am biased. I'm his mom, but how sweet is that? It's so romantic.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I think music is another language. And so if you can tell me a song that describes you, who you are, I will listen to that song. I want to know who you are. And again, music is different than just saying, oh, this is me. Music tells it in such a way that it just can't be said in words.
And, when it comes to dating, we do argue a little bit because I'm a big mama bear and I only want the best for you. Mm-hmm. And you're just such a sweetheart. Guys, I'm not just saying that. We could be out doing something and someone is rude to Jack to his face. And then let's say they drop a piece of paper that they're holding or they need the door opened. What does Jack do? He opens the door and he goes over and he says, that's what Jesus would do. Mm-hmm. And I always say to the kids, even though we're your parents, we can always learn from you. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I am so grateful for, that God has filled you up so much that Ken and I learn from you all the time.
Yeah, he kind of keeps us on the straight and narrow, doesn't he?
Yes. I mean, I think I told a dirty joke when we were starting this and he pulled out that Bible.
Ephesians 5.
And was about to read that to me. And, at first you think, oh my gosh, Jack, but he does. He reminds you of our love for God and his love for us. And not that God doesn't still love us if we tell a dirty joke, but just reminds us of our relationship with him. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's very cool that we can be learning from you, Jack. And we appreciate that very much.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. And I actually, I do want to give a little shout out to Apologia Church and Jeff Durbin in specific, because I only really started pulling out my Bible for things like that after I heard a sermon that he did at Apologia. He talked about how we should be talking more, like when we're telling other people about, oh, you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that, you should pull this out and say, God says so. And because this is his word.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, let me try it out. And sure enough, I think with you guys, I would say, hey, we shouldn't be doing that. But the second I started pulling this out and reading it, you guys listen more.
But what's great about it is, Jack, you don't do that to everybody. We have people that are Christians, non-Christians, and the second they stop to get to know you, they say you're one of the kindest, most loving, non-judgmental people. And what's great about you, even though you're going into apologetics and you love discussing different ways that people view the Bible, people always say, you know what? I don't ever walk away feeling like Jack shamed me for
100%.
What I was believing. Mm-hmm. Jack just asked a lot of questions. And so do you find that you like to learn about other people because it helps you learn how to teach them more? Or what do you find when you're having a conversation with someone the most interesting, or what do you get out of it?
I think, with apologetics, and this is something, I kind of always knew it, but I feel like I've really stepped into it being in college now. I like knowing people's worldviews, because worldviews affect every single part of a person's life.
What do you mean by people's worldviews?
Their morality. Do they believe that there's a creator? What does that creator look like? Is he immanent? Or is he a kind of deistic kind of God, where it's a God that created the world and doesn't really do anything now with it? Those things affect daily life. And so even if someone can't be brought to the faith, if I can ask questions just to understand their perspective, and then, even ask questions that can make them just feel a little uncomfortable about their own worldview, even if they don't come to faith, I know I will have left that conversation having them think about at least certain aspects of their worldview. And that, to me, means that I will have helped that person in their daily life.
And we've seen
feel better.
We've seen you do that, and you don't, even though you love debate and you love arguing your
No,
point.
I wouldn't say arguing.
No, but you don't, in those situations that you're describing, you don't do it in an argumentative manner. You do it in a very respectful and inquisitive manner to where, like you're saying, it gets them to think a little bit about what they're saying.
And then that also comes back to what I'm learning about more with autism. Autistic people think that I'm arguing with them, but I'm not. I just need to dot every I and cross every T's because information to them is so important. Not that it's not important to other people, but I just learned something. I showed it to you on TikTok the other day where they said that the brain has these branches, and non-autistic people, those branches are pruned as they're getting older, and autistic people, those branches are left. But what's amazing to me is it's almost like it's a positive for autistic people because Jack is brilliant. So it's almost like, did God have a plan of dumbing some of us down, but then leaving the autistic people brilliant? It's like a superpower to me.
Yeah, super race.
It's a super race because Jack, what's so brilliant is you can sit there and practice something or learn about something, whether it's paleontology, the Bible, music, and Jack will learn 80 hours of it within this little period of time because he's so, like he was talking about, they hyper focus on stuff, or what was in the beginning, they have
special interests.
Special interests. But when autistic people have that special interest, they can go 100 times longer focusing on that one thing and just becoming so much better than the average Joe or Megan.
Yeah. And you know what? One of the things that you've said recently that really kind of opened my eyes and I found so interesting in seeing your own self-awareness of it develop is coming and having looked into a subject and saying, I've got to tell you guys about this, and just going. And then afterwards you apologize and you say, sorry for info dumping like that.
Yep. I do that.
What is that?
It's when, you see it online with, if you're on Instagram or if you're on TikTok or whatever it is, there's these reels where, people just talk about dumping a whole bunch of information on someone, whether it's a special interest or if it is something that they just learned about. It's just this thing that we have in us where it's like, we learned something cool and we got to share it.
and it's sharing all of it.
Yeah.
You said last week at Tones and Bones, you said, Mom, I was telling everybody about my fossils. I felt so autistic.
I was so autistic because paleontology was legit. Like, you guys know, it was a big special interest for me. And so being in front of, fossil cases, I can just go all day talking about fossils.
Let's give an example of that. So Spinosaurus, 2 legs or 4?
2. I think that's like everyone's consensus at this point.
Tell me the debate several years back. How did it go?
Well, are we really getting into this? Well, it started with a paper that was released in 2014 by Ibrahim et al. Nizar Ibrahim. He headed that paper, and we also have a dear friend, Dr. Paul Serino from the University of Chicago, who is also involved with that paper.
And you've been on a dinosaur dig with him.
I have been on a dig with Mr. Paul Serino, yeah. There was a neotype discovered, and I think it was back in 2008. It was uncovered, and it was sold, and there's this huge story about, how they ended up tracking down the fossil dealer in Morocco, and they found the original dig site, and they were able to confirm that it was a single individual. Though I shouldn't say confirm. There are some people like Dr. Scott Hartman who would say that the neotype is actually a chimera. Generally speaking, it's seen as a single individual, and it possessed very short hind limbs compared to its relatives.
What is a chimera? Is that a dinosaur?
A chimera is when you have like multiple individuals in one specimen.
What does that mean?
So that means like,
I'm so confused.
Like that means that if you and I were buried together, They found some of my bones and found some of your bones. They said, oh, this belongs to one person, even though it was two different people that were buried together.
Oh, okay. I kind of get it.
Or if you were buried, I don't know, if you were buried with a 5-year-old child and they didn't find your legs, but they found the 5-year-old child's legs, and they'd be like, oh, this Megan person had really, really short legs.
She's a new species.
I am a new species anyways. I'm an interesting species.
Yeah, anyway, there's a little bit of my autism.
No, I was actually envisioning letting you go with an answer for however long it takes, and then telling Aaron, when you're editing this, just speed up that part of it. So nobody hears what he says, but it's just really Jack talking fast.
So Jack, as a 19-year-old with autism, and most people not knowing that you have autism, and some people say don't label it or whatever, what would you like to tell people about being you to get them to understand how autistic people work? Because a lot of times it was the younger, right? There were so many young kids with autism. Now it's 3 out of 54 or something like that. And you're going to be getting these older people now. Because I think when I was younger, adults, there's not too many older adults that are diagnosed with autism. I know that, it wasn't being diagnosed a lot. What would you like people to know about people with autism and how they should maybe react around them or be around them or try to understand them better? What would you like to share with that?
I would say that if you're interacting with someone who's autistic, obviously we're all a little different. We all operate in different ways. We all have
but
our
you
own
don't
challenges.
always know.
We don't always know, what someone else is dealing with. And that goes for everyone in general. But with autistic people, if you're coming across them, I would say first just, find their special interest, get them talking about their special interest. And from there, you will get to learn a little bit more about them and maybe branch off into something else. But I would say don't take offense at things that they're saying. Don't think of them as strange. They can be different, but don't think of them as strange. Don't write them off for being socially awkward. I would say look for the things that are endearing in them, not the things that are not so endearing.
That's true. Because I know one time, I think we were at Tones and Bones and a girl was saying something and you said, oh, that's so goofy of you. But you didn't mean goofy like you were insulting her. You used the word goofy like, oh, that's so silly.
I don't think I'm the only person that thinks of goofy that way, though. I refuse to believe that. Goofy is like funny, quirky, cute, That's goofy.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's my old-fashionedness then.
I think it is.
I'll take that.
So let's get back to your music for a minute. What's your process when you're writing songs? How do you do it?
Well, that's there's multiple ways I've written.
Wait,
songs.
hold on. This is a question I ask everybody, and I don't mean to interrupt you. Jack, what's your favorite sandwich? You have to get it in here.
No. This is a whole debate between us.
It's not a
What is
debate.
a sandwich? We've had this debate and it's gone on for years now. What's a sandwich,
What,
Jack?
is a quesadilla a sandwich? Is that what he's...
I'm going to be evil and say pizza is my favorite sandwich.
Not a sandwich.
Open-faced sandwich.
It's not a sandwich.
It's an open-faced sandwich. But in all reality, it's probably the cheeseburger.
But that's a burger. That's not a sandwich.
A cheeseburger is not a sandwich? Since when?
It is a sandwich?
Absolutely. It's a kind of sandwich.
It's a burger.
No.
A sandwich has bread, not a bun.
I would be more willing to accept a cheeseburger as a sandwich than a pizza.
Well, and actually, legally, this is my autism coming out again. In New York, breaded chicken is legally recognized as a sandwich.
It's not a sandwich.
Chicken nuggets are sandwiches.
Not sandwiches.
Chicken Parmesan is a sandwich with some noodles?
Absolutely.
But you have that interesting story about Subway. And what country was that?
Ireland. So I guess in Ireland, cake and bread are taxed differently. And so Subway was selling their bread as bread, but the Irish law, it actually goes into how cake and bread is defined.
Like their sugar content.
Yes. Subway's bread contained so much sugar that it actually, in the eyes of the law, should have been classified as cake, and they were avoiding taxes.
That's funny. We only have a couple more minutes. And I know we were talking about music with Jack. We're all over the place. Jack, what would you like to talk about the last 2 minutes before we end this beautiful podcast with you?
I guess just real quick, because, people are kind of curious about my faith sometimes. Like, it's like, what are you? It's like, you believe in so many different things. If I could break it down, it's this. I am a Reformed Pronomian Baptist.
Do you have to do works to be saved?
No, and
Thank
that's
you.
what I was about to get into.
Okay.
So I am Reformed in my soteriology, which means salvation, issues of salvation. I do affirm tulip, which I know will make some of you mad out there.
I don't know.
No, don't get into it. We don't have time.
I'll
They
get
can-
into the acronym real
Okay.
quick. Total depravity. All of man is totally depraved. We are in need of saving, and we cannot come to God on our own, because the Bible says that the way of man's heart, there's nothing we can do to please him. It is wicked. Our hearts are wicked, and we can't do anything to please him. Then you have unconditional election, which means that God elected those who would be saved unto salvation. Then you have limited atonement. This is the one that really, people get a little weird about. But, in Isaiah 53, it says that Christ would come to die for the many. And I would affirm that in a way that, what's the word? He died for the many in an effectual salvific way, but he died for all in the sense that...
Going over my head here.
No idea what he's
I
talking
know.
about right now.
Salvific.
Please continue.
So Christ
Salvific.
died for the many in an effectual salvific way, but he died for all in the sense that we live in a world that is highly influenced by Christian principles. And if it weren't for Christ dying, I would say that we would not be living in the world that we do today, because Christianity has been historically dominant. And so in that sense, he did die for all. Then you have irresistible grace. So that concept, total depravity, going back there real quick. We're not able to do anything that pleases God on our own. And so there's this thing called irresistible grace. God comes to us and he gives us the grace to chase after him. And then we have perseverance of the saints, which is this promise that God will sanctify us and keep us until the day of judgment. Then pronomianism, which I kind of went into earlier. I believe that all the mitzvot of the Torah are still applicable today. And so, I observe the Sabbath. I observe the feast days. I am kosher. I wear tzitzits. After that, I am a Baptist because of my view on the sacraments. And yes, we can get into a debate on different confessional stuff about Baptist history, but I'm just going to look at it how Baptists generally look at it today. I believe in a memorialist view of the Eucharist. I believe that when you take part at the Lord's table, when you're eating the bread and drinking the wine, they're representations. You're not literally drinking Christ's blood, and you're not literally eating his flesh. And nor do I affirm Calvin's view that you are somehow receiving it spiritually, because that would be in violation to the Torah. I affirm a memorialist view, and William Lane Craig is actually the guy that got me there. I was on the spiritual presence path for a while because of Gavin Ortland. And then I saw William Lane Craig. He made a video on Gavin Ortland's view of real spiritual presence, and he completely went off on him. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe William Lane Craig has a point.
And we don't know these people.
Yeah, no, you don't. But the next thing I would say is I would affirm baptism as a seal of salvation. I'm not saying that you have to be baptized to be saved. But I will say that if you are not baptized and a saved person, that's kind of weird. If you're saved, you're going to be baptized. If you haven't been baptized, please get baptized, because Peter wrote that baptism is what saves us. Not in an effectual way, but it's kind of like you can graduate without going on the graduation stage, yes?
True.
But the day of graduation is when you're on that graduation stage.
Okay.
That's kind of like baptism. You
Good
don't
analogy.
need baptism to be saved, but it's pretty weird if you're a graduating student and you don't go on that graduating stage. It's kind of weird.
Is that it? Because I'd like you to give everyone your handle if they'd like to listen to your song.
Yeah. So you can look me up on Instagram. I'm Jack_Ratay, Ratay. And then, I have all the other pages on there already.
And where's your song coming out?
On every platform you can think of, even some really weird Russian music streaming services that I don't even know the
And what's the
names
name of your band?
3 Heart Cross. That is my band. And I was thinking about it before the start of this podcast. You were talking about how I lift. I want to give a shout out to KP3 coach. Kevin has been a great coach for me for a number of years, and I just want to show him love and just tell him thank you for all the work that you have put into me over the years.
He's so sweet.
Very
He
nice.
keeps naming all these
I
people.
know.
Jack, you're such a sweetheart. We love having you. We love that your heart. We love your musical abilities. I love you as a son, and I can't wait to see what God brings to your life moving forward.
And you've got other songs coming out
I do.
lined up after Found a Home.
I do.
So we'll be looking forward to all those. We'll have you back to talk about them as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. Maybe next time we can talk about a metal song.
Sounds
I
great.
don't want to blow out Aaron's ears, but I'd say maybe you should do a quick scream before you
No, I'm
end.
not screaming.
Okay.
No.
Well, thank you for joining us again on Cross Examine with the Gerbers. Don't forget, we own Gerber Injury Law, and we've been handling injury cases for nearly 30 years. So give us a call if you're injured, and we will talk to you later. Ciao.